Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And today we're going to be looking, tonight rather, because it's night, we're going to be looking at another interesting topic: 350,000 Haitians at risk. Who is next in the deportation crackdown that we're seeing in the United States of America? So tonight we are discussing more than immigration policy. We are discussing history, power, responsibility, and the future of the people who have endured pressure, intervention, and economic hardship. More than 350,000 Haitians are now at risk as temporary protected status faces termination, raising the possibility of mass deportations from the United States. But before we discuss what may happen next, we must first ask a difficult question. How did Haiti get here? Haiti's story is unlike any other in the Americas. In 1804, enslaved Africans defeated one of the most powerful military forces in the world and established the first free Black republic in history. It was a revolutionary achievement that challenged the entire system of slavery upon which much of the Western Hemisphere depended on. But Haiti's victory came at a price. The new nation was isolated, punished, and treated as a threat by many of the world's leading powers. Slave owning societies feared the example would be set in other countries, right, in the Americas. Recognition came slowly, and Haiti found itself politically and economically marginalized. The United States itself, as a slave-holding nation at the time, did not officially recognize Haiti until 1862, nearly 6 decades after Haitian independence. Many historians argue that fear of Haiti's revolutionary example played a major role in that delay. The challenges did not end there. In 1915, the United States occupied Haiti, beginning a military presence that lasted until 1934. American officials justified the occupation as necessary for stability and security. But critics argue that it placed Haiti under foreign control, centralized power, and reshaped the country's institutions to serve external forces or interests. The occupation remains one of the most controversial chapters in Haitian history. Throughout the 20th century, Haiti continued to struggle with political instability, foreign influence, economic dependency, and underdevelopment. International policies and interventions were often presented as solutions, yet many Haitians saw little improvement in their daily lives. Then came natural disasters, recurring political crises, gang violence, and the erosion of state authority. As conditions worsened, many Haitians sought refuge abroad, including in the United States, where thousands were granted temporary protected status because conditions at home were considered too dangerous for return. Today, however, that protection is under threat. For many Haitians, the question is not simply whether they can remain in the United States. The question is whether the same international system that played a role in shaping Haiti's struggle is now turning its back on Haiti. And that is what we're here to ask, the question we're here to ask tonight. The question is whether the same international system that played a role in shaping Haiti's struggle is now turning its back on those who fled those conditions. As we examine the possibility of large-scale deportations, we must also examine the history that brought us to this moment, because the story of Haiti is not just about migration, it's about sovereignty, intervention, economic power, and the unfinished legacy of one of the most extraordinary revolutions in human history. Let's begin that discussion. And we're going to begin here with a clipping done by an African American who she does a very good job of presenting Haiti's history on TikTok and on YouTube. So let me just give you that and have her give you that historical perspective. This is something that all of us should be having. So let me share my screen with you, put her up on the screen, and have her speak what she is saying here. Let me get this. This is share the screen. Are you seeing it on my screen? All right, let me see if I can share it another time. Share a screen. Share my screen. And yeah, she's going to be up now. So let me get her on the screen and let her speak on behalf of the Haitian people. Right. So I'm going to turn up the volume, and I might have to rewind it.
What they meant was business instability. So when Haiti's president Belbrun Guillaume Sam was killed in a revolt, President Woodrow. So you ever wonder why Haiti is always painted as unstable? Like, it's some mystery how things got so bad. Let me break the silence for you. The U.S. invaded Haiti in 1915. They took the banks, rewrote their constitution, murdered protesters, and stayed for nearly 20 years. And if you didn't know that, that's by design. By the early 1900s, Haiti had already repaid that independence debt. You remember the one France forced on them? I covered this in a previous video, but yeah. France forced Haiti to pay reparations for freeing themselves. But now, American banks wanted a cut. The U.S. was worried about instability, but what they meant was business instability. So when Haiti's president, Belbrun Guillaume Sam, was killed in a revolt, President Woodrow Wilson sent in the Marines, not to protect the Haitian people, but to protect U.S. assets. They landed in Port-au-Prince in 1915, and they didn't leave until 1934. Once there, the U.S. military took control of Haiti's customs houses, their treasury, and the national bank. Then they rewrote Haiti's constitution, specifically to allow foreigners to own land. Sound familiar? They dissolved parliament, censored the press, and reestablished forced labor. Marines opened fire. In 1919, they massacred over 2,000 Haitians in a single campaign, and the records called it a pacification. What? The U.S. never gave that land back. They built their economies, their banks, their sugar companies, all on Haitian soil. Out. Not a single Haitian citizen got reparation. Not a single American official was held accountable. But here we're taught to see Haiti as broken, right? Europe spent the next century trying to punish them into poverty. The U.S. didn't just influence Haiti. It occupied it. Suffering? Ask them. What do you really know about the people that pulled the strings? You ever wonder why Haiti is always painted as
so we are seeing that many times they're telling us that Haiti is in the position because Haitians are irresponsible. They're lazy. They should go back to their country. And I'm seeing a lot of these FBAs, what we call the foundational Black Americans, suggesting that Haiti needs to go back because they were given temporary protected status. So what do they expect from a temporary protected status? The fact of the matter is that we have to go back to history and understand that Haiti is currently in the position she is largely or mainly because of U.S. foreign policy. And that is the groundwork that she laid here. In an article called Counterpoint, the article is entitled, America Creates the Displacement It Then Punishes. Republican immigration policy turns people fleeing a global order shaped in part by U.S. power into culprits and then asks them to bear the cost of a disorder they did not create. When the Supreme Court on June 25 cleared the way for the Trump administration to end temporary protected status for more than 350,000 Haitians and roughly 6,100 Syrians, it treated the matter as a question of executive authority. Yet the same government warns Americans not to travel to Haiti or Syria because of kidnappings, violence, terrorism, armed conflict, and collapsed security. It can acknowledge danger when those at risk carry U.S. passports, then allow the protection shielding Haitian and Syrian families who have built lives in the United States to be withdrawn, leaving many vulnerable to removal into that danger. That is not a technical inconsistency. It reveals the governing logic of the Republican immigration agenda. America helps reduce or deepen instability abroad, then criminalizes, detains, and expels many of the people who flee its consequences. The border is where this contradiction becomes visible, but it is not where it begins. So it's what we have to understand, and what we're trying here to do is to lay the foundation, the historical foundation for why this is happening and what the United States endgame is all about. But let us look at also another clipping by, let's go back to the election, the first administration when they were having the Trump administration, when he was campaigning for the election and the debates, with him and Hillary, and you will get an insight and you will see how hypocritical American presidents and the American people in general can be. If you trust them at your own will. All right. Now let me share that, and I will get to that. So that's Clinton and Trump. We're going to look at that, and then we get our impressions of these people, right? So let me put it on the screen, and we will look at it and analyze what these people are saying. Lots of hypocrisy, lots of inconsistencies that we have to explore. Okay. I thought it was already on the screen. So give me a second. It should be there. Not sure why it's not there yet. Add to the screen. Is it there now? Is it on the screen? Let me turn the volume up now and we can listen.
Earthquake and all of the terrible problems the people there had. We've done things to help small businesses, agriculture, and so much else.
So I have to rewind it.
Money. And you take a look at the people of Haiti. I was at a little Haiti the other day in Florida, and I want to tell you, they hate the Clintons, because what's happened in Haiti with the Clinton Foundation is a disgrace. And you know it, and they know it, and everybody knows
Secretary
it.
Well, when it comes to Haiti, Haiti is the poorest country in our hemisphere. The earthquake and the hurricanes, it has devastated Haiti. Bill and I have been involved in trying to help Haiti for many years. The Clinton Foundation raised $30 million to help Haiti after the catastrophic earthquake and all of the terrible problems the people there had. We've done things to help small businesses, agriculture, and so much else. And we're going to keep working to help Haiti, because it's an important part of the American.
And you take a look at the people of.
Okay, I'm going to also pull up this one too. So let me stop sharing here, and then I'm going to pull up another clipping of a guy who is asking a very important question. And I think he could also be of Haitian descent. No, let me have you listen to her. Another clip that we're going to look at, just to lay the historic foundation to what is happening right now, because many of us are very naive and ignorant of what really is happening, and we think this is going to be a situation in which many of us are going to have to give up even our citizenship because of what they're doing, and they are actually militarizing the states as we speak. Now let me put this on the screen, and it should be on the screen. Yeah, right. So let me turn the volume up. Let me turn up this volume. She is giving a very good history of Haiti also, and what the U.S. has done. U.S. occupation and interventions in Haiti's history.
helped us to do
Wow.
to defeat Britain and free this country and make it independent. Haitians overthrew the great Napoleonic army to make possible the Louisiana Purchase, which would not have happened but for that revolution and France's defeat. Haitians built and created the culture of New Orleans. Now, you can't hate New Orleans, right? But that culture could not have existed without the ex-migration of people from Haiti to New Orleans to escape because Haiti had been overthrown. The colony had been overthrown. Haitians live in this country and contribute as doctors, as lawyers, as nurses, as scientists, as statesmen. They are a part of the fabric of this country. And, sir, African Americans include Haitian Americans. Let me tell you what Haiti has done for us. Haitians fought in the Revolutionary War. There were Haitians among those who helped us to defeat Britain and free this country and make it independent. Haitians overthrew the great Napoleonic army to make.
We can stop that, and we're going to also look at another important, clipping, just to get to the groundwork and see the hypocrisies and the inconsistencies of U.S. foreign policy towards Haiti. Now, notice that Donald Trump, in his time, he was talking as if he was defending Haitians, but he wasn't, right? Because what he wanted to do was to win the election, as Barack Obama does and all the others have done. They speak to you and hypocritically, and they speak as if their rhetoric is reality, and oftentimes their rhetoric is not the reality. Make sure you're sharing the live. If not, then we can endure it so that people can come and participate in this very important conversation, which is going to affect all of us, by the way. All right. So let me just get this situation here with Donald Trump and look at what he is saying. Let me just take these off the screen. Sometimes they're confusing me when I have so many things on the screen on the windows here. So let me get what Donald Trump is saying. Share the screen with him. Is it this that this is him, right? So let me get this now on the screen and share this with what Donald Trump is saying. And this was his time when he was actually running for the first, presidential election, right? So let me see if it's going to be there shortly. Add to the. Is it here on the screen yet? It's not yet there. Okay, good. So I can now turn up the volume so you can listen to what Donald Trump is saying here.
Buying all of Haiti, you're not going to have any people there. They're going to say, "What a nice piece of land this is." Everyone from Haiti is moving into the United States of America. Haiti is like emptying out. There is going to be no Haiti. Somebody's going to end up buying all of Haiti. You're not going to have any people there. They're going to say, "What a nice piece of land this is." Everyone from Haiti is moving into the United States of America. Haiti is like emptying out. There is going to be no Haiti. Somebody's going to end up buying all of Haiti. You're not going to have any people there. They're going to say, "What a nice piece of land this is." Everyone from Haiti is moving into the United States. Haiti is like emptying out. There is going to be no Haiti.
All right,
Somebody's going to end up buying all of Haiti.
So he's suggesting here that nobody will be living in Haiti soon, right? Because all they're doing, they're going to be buying up the what do you call it now? They'll be buying up all of the land in Haiti because nobody will be living there. So is that the plan? And because Donald Trump sometimes speaks and sometimes people think he's stupid, right? And they don't know that a lot of times Donald Trump reveals to us what the real agenda is. But because we don't take him seriously, we sometimes ignore, he's just talking to talk. But we have to listen to him in a very, very serious manner. Now, this is a guy here also who was telling us about Haiti and the fact that if Americans want Haitians to go, they need to pay them a check. All right, so let me see if I can share, I can put him up on the screen. All right, you can listen to him because this was also a very good one that I thought was interesting and something that Americans need to look at and think about. If they know the history, many of them don't. So as a result of that, they might not be thinking about that. They're just allowing their emotions and their political instinct to govern what they do in that country. All right, so let me see if I can put this up. I don't know why it's not going on the screen whenever I send it there. So please be a little patient. and try to look and to learn as much as you can from people who know more than you do about the situation. All right, so let me turn up the volume for the guy, and what he's saying makes a lot of sense, you know.
In 1914, the U.S. took approximately 24,190 troy ounces of gold, just walked in there and stole it. The price of gold is currently,
I might have to rewind it.
approximately
Yeah, I
$4,050
think I have to
per
rewind
ounce.
it.
So if you do some quick
I
math,
think I was not.
that comes out to $95 million.
Okay, let me
And
see if I
Haitian
can write
TPS, send Haitians back to Haiti. Okay, but who's going to write the check? You want to be American so bad. Who's going to write the check? Because according to my calculations, in 1914, the U.S. took approximately 24,190 troy ounces of gold from Haiti. Just walked in there and stole it. The price of gold is currently approximately $4,050 per ounce. So if you do some quick math, that comes out to $95 million. So you want to send Haitians back to Haiti so bad, write the check first. And Haitian TPS, send Haitians back to Haiti. Okay, but who's going to write the check? You want to be American so bad.
Right. Okay. So that's a very good. That during the occupation, the U.S. occupation, just before the occupation in 1915, the U.S. went to Haiti and stole all of that gold, right? Which he's suggesting in dollars would be worth millions, right? That could help the Haitians to rebuild their state. Not to mention other interventions and other theft after that, intervention, occupation into the 1990s and beyond, of the constant, interventions in Haiti, which have helped to destroy their economic base. Now, let's get a little bit into the history of Haiti, because there was a book written by Rondell Robinson, and he suggests here that Haiti from revolution to the kidnapping of a president, which was President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who was kidnapped, as you know, in 2004, right, when they went down there under President George W. Bush and took out the president. He says many Haitians had been soldiers in Africa, right? So when they came to Haiti during slavery, they were soldiers in African that they remembered well. The ever avaricious French had expanded the captured Africans members in Haiti so rapidly as to drive them well beyond the colonists' ability to forcibly reacculturate them. As a result, the newly arrived Africans developed or retained in critical mass African memories, mores, and behaviors that tied them more closely together than enslaved Africans may have been in other French colonies. For instance, the Haitian slaves largely retained or adapted the African religions of their faith or of their birth. By the close of slavery, Haitian Creole was indistinguishable from the Creole spoken in St. Lucia, Guadeloupe, and Martinique. Haitian Creole was more redundantly African and less French-laden than the Creole spoken in other French slave possessions. Now, he's saying here, further, French slavery in Haiti was not only the most profitable worldwide for the French, but also the most cruel. Now, listen to what, and he's quoting here from Giraud, and this is Chantrons, and he said here, there were about 100 men and women of different ages, all occupied in digging ditches in a cane field, the majority of them naked or covered with rags. The sun shone down with full force on their heads. Sweat rolled from all parts of their bodies, their limbs, weighed down by the heat, fatigued with the weight of their picks and by the resistance of the clay soil, baked hard enough to break their implements, stained themselves to overcome every obstacle. A mournful silence reigned. Exhaustion was stamped on every face, but the hour of rest had not yet come. The pitiless eye of the manager patrolled the gangs, and several foremen armed with long whips moved periodically between them, giving stinging blows to all who, worn out by the fatigue, were compelled to take rest, men or women, young or old. So we're getting some very interesting sort of, what should I say now, historical analysis of what took place there in Haiti. But there was something that I thought was very interesting, in which the author mentioned that there was a time in the IDB, the International Development Bank, said that it loaned Haiti around $15 million, he was suggesting here in this book. But the interest rate that, first of all, they did not get the money, right? So they said they sent a loan to them. They gave them a loan of $15 million, the sums of which they did not receive, but they had to pay a high interest rate. Can you imagine that you are actually said, you're being told that you're getting a loan, and when the loan gets there, well, it never gets there, but they tell you that you have to pay for a loan that you did not receive, and then what happens? Interest on the loan that you didn't receive. Right? So what sense does it make when we understand that the United States, through these multilateral organizations, have stolen a lot from Haitians, and to this day, it has impoverished the state? It's something that we have to look at, and we have to understand that this is not just coming from an overnight situation. It has been happening for a long time, in which the United States goes to that country, steals elections, steal their natural resources and their assets. Let's now look at some of the comments here. Good night, so we can greet each other. Oh, that Joy Ann Reed, she usually is pretty weak politically, although she seems to be more aware of the truth. That right, and that is true. I agree with you. I don't generally listen to her, but in fact, she really was sharing some very important points there on Haitian history, which lots of Americans need to know and to understand. So you're correct. Now we have Sunflower saying a lot of children went missing. Clinton's here were trafficking children, and that is something that people have to understand, that when they see them saying that they collected money or they went and they did some philanthropic event, that was not true, right? Or if they did it, it did not go to the Haitian people, it went into their pockets. That's what many people need to understand. Now, we hear also that the U.S. military is a bank robber robbing Haiti's bank of its gold. And that is what they did. And they did that back in 1914, right? Robbed them of all the gold and brought it to U.S. Bank. That is something that is interesting and is something that we have to recognize. Now, I was trying to find here, I'm not sure if it was an article I read it in or it was here, where the author was suggesting about the IDB of a loan that was supposed to be sent to Haiti, but obviously they did not receive, and they had to pay a whopping interest rate on a loan that they had not received. Now, the point is, can it be that we sometimes in the Caribbean, when they tell us that we're getting loans from the IDB, or we're getting loans from the IMF or the World Bank, do we always get that sum of money, or are we just paying interest rates on something that was never sent to us in the first place? These are things that we need to get some sort of closure on, and for our politicians to be transparent about, right? And we're not getting any transparency there. France owes Haiti also. Yes, France does owe Haiti a lot of money, all right? But the United States has facilitated a lot of what has happened. The United States has contributed in terms of encouraging the French and also the Canadians to do what they do to the Haitian people. Now, remember now that, as we suggested, that when Haiti won its independence in 1804, the United States, which apparently or supposedly was a free nation, right, which believed in what? The equality of all men and women, did not recognize Haitian independence until 1862, right? Primarily because they were concerned that the independence that the Haitians had acquired would have disturbed the system of slavery in the United States. When they decided to recognize Haiti in 1862, it was because they were fearful that the slaves in the South would have collaborated with Haitians and then, or black people in America, and then would have done something to the American state. So America did not grant Haiti its independence, did not recognize Haitian independence because it wanted to do so. It recognized it out of sheer fear that the Black community in America, the ones who were free, could have united with the then free Haitian state to dethrone U.S. system of slavery and perhaps to kill the people there, the slave masters in the United States. So this was done out of selfish purpose, not because they wanted to recognize Haiti. Now, Chris is saying the elites always engage in human trafficking when there is warfare. And they always engage in it all the time because remember now that a part of their secret societies, children have to be sacrificed, right? And their blood has to be spilled on the altar of sacrifice. We have to understand that's a part of the Freemason and other Illuminati and other things that they are engaged in. So we must understand what is happening in Haiti for us to understand that this is going to affect all of us. Now, this author is saying no honest argument should claim that the United States causes every migrant's journey. Haiti's crisis has Haitian causes. Syria's catastrophe has Syrian, regional, and international causes. Corrupt elites, armed groups, authoritarian governments, and local political failure matter. But those facts do not absolve Washington, a country that exercises military power, uses sanctions and financial leverage, and helped build a carbon-intensive global economy, cannot pretend that displacement begins only when someone reaches the Rio Grande. The Republican story begins too late. It sees the migrant in a detention cell, at a checkpoint, or before an immigration judge. It does not see the family calculating whether its children can survive another year, the worker pushed out by economic collapse, or the community uprooted by violence, climate shocks, and failed institutions. Once that history is erased, people fleeing insecurity can be recast as the source of insecurity. Haiti makes the point with usual force. Washington is not a neutral observer in Haiti's history. The United States occupied the country from 1915 to 1934, exercising direct control over key financial and security institutions. That past does not explain Haiti's present catastrophe by itself. It does, however, make the pretense of American innocence untenable. As of March 2026, more than 1.4 million people had been displaced inside Haiti by violence and insecurity. Ending TPS does not restore public safety, curb gang violence or control, or make return humane. It simply transfers risk from the American legal system back to people who have already carried it. Now, they're telling us too that climate change is another reason for which they have to actually deport these people. Now, he's saying that climate sharpens the same contradiction. The United States remains the largest historical contributor to carbon dioxide emissions, while the harshest costs of the fossil-fueled global economy fall on societies least equipped to absorb drought, heat, food insecurity, and disasters. Climate change does not mechanically propel every victim across an international border. It does make livelihoods more precarious, compound conflict, and weaken already fragile states. Washington cannot possibly treat those forced to move as strangers to a crisis it has helped intensify. But how does climate have to do with migration? That's the question. How are they telling us now that the climate change is now affecting people or is a threat and they have to go back? Do you see any sort of connection here? I'm not sure if you do, but let us continue with some of what you're saying and on the platform so I can hear what you're saying. Respect, yes, Sunflower, welcome to the live. And we have, if we do get loans from the IDB, it's always to purchase policies, making the politicians of the Caribbean vassals for an agenda not benefiting the locals, right? But what if we don't get the loans and then we have to now pay all of these high interest rates? Because where is the money? When the IMF sends money, how do we have all these squat-ridden roads, right? We don't have any hospitals. We don't have any schools, right? And they're sending all these millions of dollars to the Caribbean. But at the end of the day, we're not seeing the work that they say that they're doing. So are they doing the same thing as in Haiti, where they say that they have pledged, right, sums of money to us? At the end of the day, it's not sent there. And then we have to wind up paying the interest on that money that they sent us. Now, if we understand who these people are, that should never, right, surprise you, because that is how they make their monies, right? Now, Chris is saying now the US, the West, and Western global capitalism create global migration. US weapons are in the nads of criminals in North, Central, and South America. And that is true. Now, we must understand, just like the wars that Washington is waging, the immigration crisis has to be maintained for the United States to control its wars. And that is why it's militarizing. Right now, the United States is militarizing, as it were, the immigration crisis, the immigration problem in the United States. So very soon, even citizens, and Trump did say that when he came into power, he said that he's going to send prisoners, even U.S. citizens, to third countries, right? So if the Haitians are deported tomorrow and the Syrians, it means that it's opening up that gate for the United States to be able to send home even people who are legally there, including citizens and what? Green card holders whom the country can say they are involved in some criminal activity. So the entire system is now being criminalized. And that is what they're doing. So this is not only about Haitians. And some of you are coming and going, and you don't know that this is not just about Haitians. This has to do with the entire population of the United States and foreigners, and those of us also in the Caribbean. Because when governments now begin to tell us that we're criminals, then they can get rid of us at their call and beckon, right? That is what we have to understand. Greetings, greetings. And then we have Sunflower saying here, if they are so worried about the climate change and pollution, go clean up India, right? And if they're also worried about it, wouldn't they try to rebuild Haiti, right? Remember now, after they had the earthquake, that, we understand the United Nations sent what were cholera there. The United Nations literally sent cholera to Haiti, right? Now, if they were interested in climate change, wouldn't they want to rebuild Haiti to ensure that you don't have that level of poverty and suffering there, that people have to destroy the environment, cutting down all the trees because they have to survive? At one point in time, people were eating, sometimes some years ago, the clay, the soil, because they were hungry. They were actually using the soil to make, a cake, right? So the fact of the matter is that they have to survive, so they have to do whatever it takes to survive. Now, we hear from Sunflower, we are the carbon footprint they want to eliminate. Absolutely. That is the agenda. People think that the agenda is to eliminate carbon dioxide. That is not, they can't do that. They're not gods. So they can't do that, right? The agenda is to eliminate you and I. And that's the agenda. And people are thinking that this has to do, just like COVID, it was not to eliminate COVID, the virus. It was to eliminate you. Right? And many of you went for it. You actually fell for that game and you were tricked. And that is what is, you cannot think outside of the box and then you think that this is just about some Black people going back to Haiti, or this is just about deportation. But it has much more to do with that. Now we have the IA, Pedro saying the IADB loans goes to no activist. Right. Okay, it goes to no activist. It goes to their own people, right? It definitely goes to their people, the NGOs, right? Absolutely. That is where it goes. It winds up into their hands, the NGOs, that's the nonprofit organizations. Now, Sunflower is saying global immigration is replacement. Yes. Yes, it is. It is. But what is happening is that they can, when you look at what the Haitians do in the Dominican Republic is the fastest growing economy in the Caribbean. And their development is like none in the entire Caribbean region, I would say, right? They have outgrown the entire region in terms of their development. Now, how did they accomplish this sort of effort? You know, because they got a lot of free Haitian labor. And that is what I think they are trying to do globally, right? In order for economies to grow, they have to send cheap labor, right? And also labor that has no rights. Labor that has no rights. So if you are, let us say that somebody pays you and you don't like that wage or salary, then you can say that you can't do anything, because they can say, you know, I can deport you. If you say anything, I'm going to deport you, right? So you have to maintain some level of quietude, and you can't protest, okay? And that is what is happening, all right? Do you see what I'm saying? When it's Haitian topic, you're not interested. It has to be when it's Haitian topic, and that's why I said let's not do this topic, because when it's Haitian topic, it doesn't have to do with fear and gloom. You're not interested until the Haitian crisis affects you too. I know that. I know how you behave, right? So El Monte says, but Trump rolled out the red carpet. Trump rolled out the red carpet for white South Africans, but he's also sending home Syrians who, wouldn't you describe them as white? Yeah, how do we say that this is only a racialized? And I see what you're saying. How do we now say it's only a racialized immigration law when we hear that Syrians are being sent home too? It's also for Syrians. Now, you ain't see the beach land is what they want, real estate. And that's exactly what Trump says, that very soon there won't be any Haitian in their state, right? There won't be any Haitian in their state. That's what he's saying. Yes, people were fooled and now are injured and dying. Therefore, they are replacing populations, the Great Reset. Absolutely. But what they want to is free labor. And I want to stress that they want free and labor that has no rights. Slavery, again, is free labor. Slavery was free labor. So if I send you to a country, you cannot say that you're not going to do this or you won't accept the wage. Because if not, then I can send you to another one that is worse. What if they say send you to Jamaica or send you to another country, and it's okay? But guess what? You're crying about the wage you're getting. They can send you to El Salvador, where it's worse. They'll torture there in Secot, right? In the prison system there in El Salvador. All right, that is what they're moving and pushing to, right? And they're using the Haitian population in the United States as the blueprint to doing that. Okay, because this is not just about the Haitians, and I keep on saying that to you. What does temporary mean? Yeah, and you're asking that, yeah, temporary means it's temporary, but do they mean it's temporary? Don't you think the United States could have developed a good immigration policy for all immigrants in the United States? They could. The United States is an immigrant country. Now, another thing, as we said, Pedro, is that the United States has to be mindful that it has contributed a lot to the Haitian crisis and where Haitians currently find themselves right now. The position that they currently are in, the United States is actually responsible in a great deal for that sort of position, precarious economic and social and political problems that they're facing right now. I'm surprised persons unwilling to go home, strange mindset. Now, Pedro Jamat, if you're living in your country and gangs have taken over the entire country, including, you know, the airport, everywhere you go, supermarkets, anywhere you go, you can be shot and killed. You can be kidnapped. Would you be comfortable living there? If you have no means of survival, would you be comfortable living there? And why do you think the United States was founded as a country, right? Why do you think they were founded? Because what was happening in the old world in Europe was also untenable, and they were not safe. They could not worship the way how they wanted to worship. They could not think the way how they wanted to think. And then they fled to a country, right? And they took risk. And remember now they came and they displaced a lot of the indigenous people in any way and took over their territory and enriched themselves. All right. So this is not new of human beings wanting to seek some asylum, right? Some level of safety and peace in another country. This is old human sort of behavior, right? So this is nothing what the Haitians are doing, is just what human beings do, behave. That's how we behave. When things are bad in Jamaica, for example, in the 1970s, things were untenable and people left in the hundreds of thousands because they thought that Jamaica was going communist, was too violent, right? Things were getting out of hand. Okay, so whether it's you today and probably me tomorrow, we must not think that the Haitians fleeing means that they don't like their homes. Far from the real truth. They want to be home, but the fact is that living there is not safe. Okay, now people are dying in all countries. Colors, people need to wake up and come together. I don't think people are going to wake up because people are selfish by nature and people are concerned about themselves. So everything we're saying about Haiti tonight is not something that will interest the common person, because for now they think that they're safe until they're no longer safe. Okay, and that is what is going to happen. When now look at the African Americans, they already, when they're talking about the birthright citizenship, they want everybody to, support them, and they're blacks and they've been living there from centuries and all of that stuff. Now that the Haitians are in this predicament, go home, right? Go home. This was temporary. Okay, now they could change whatever. The 14th Amendment can be changed too, to the Constitution. It was temporary. Okay, now don't you think persons on temporary status for over a year won't seek citizenship? Well, the fact of the matter is that asylums, can take years for them to gain some sort of, whether green card status or citizenship. All right, so the temporary, protected status was a way for them that they can apply for asylum, right? They can live in the States and they can work, they get a permit, but the United States should have pushed, expeditiously the whole process of regularizing them. But it is not in the United States' interest to regularize it. It's foreigners. I give you an example. In the Dominican Republic, this system of Haitians coming here and they're saying they're illegal has been going on since the devil was a boy. The Dominican Republic has exploited it. So what they do, they work with their base, their political base, and the people, we don't want these Haitians here because they're taking away our jobs, okay? However, they make it into a business. So when they send home thousands of them are coming back and they all have to pay. So it's also it is a sort of psyop, if you will, where they're actually sending them, but others will be coming from other countries who will be able to work. But they don't want anybody to remain permanently there and have rights, like get their green card or their citizenship, and then they have rights. The whole purpose agenda is for you not to have rights. Right? Even the citizens very soon, we won't have any rights to any job. And that's what they're taking all of that from us, but they're using other groups who might be at a disadvantage now to formulate their policies. And that is what they're doing. Okay, please share the live so that other people can come. The algorithm is not interested in sharing the live. And I don't want to waste my time here tonight. So make sure you're sharing the live so that we can have a good discussion, because this is a very important discussion. By the way, I've invited Professor Robert Fatton from the University of Virginia to be here on Sunday. And based on what I'm seeing now, if I had known, maybe I wouldn't have invited him, because you're not interested in Haitian history and Haitian topic. And I did say that. I know you, I know how you behave, and I know that Haitian topic is not your forte. You're not interested until the whole situation falls down on you, and you are going to be treated just like the Haitians are being treated. I understand how you think. Now, I talked to a lady from Germany last night. She told me about how she had to leave Germany because the Russians come in. She traveled on a ship from Germany to Halifax, Canada. This was 1951. Yes, it's something not natural for people to do, right? By the way, are you seeing that in Russia right now? They're talking about, gas shortages and how people are fighting there, because of the lots of energy that was used to fight the Ukrainian war. It means, therefore, that that there is a shortage of gas in Russia as we speak. So many people have had to leave their countries, Sunflower is saying, and be replaced. Very sad. And this is where this is a new century now we're going into, where we are going to be movement. We're going to become now vagabonds, as it were, migrants. It works for them because the more you can make a country unstable, citizens have to move anywhere they have to move for a job, then you can take away their rights, and you don't have to give them the requisite salary or wage that they would be requesting. So this is what they're trying to formulate. This is the sort of blueprint that they're trying to implement, and they're doing it with the Haitian citizens and with the Syrians. But we have to understand that this is bigger than just the Haitians and the Syrians. Okay? It's much bigger than that. Much, much bigger than that. Yeah. Any questions? Any more comments? I thought you were going to be ready for the live tonight. 15 people in 50 minutes? Come on, guys, you're wasting my time. Okay, so we have here the Ukrainians have been drone bombing Russian oil plants. That is the reason for the oil shortage. They have been causing serious destruction. I don't know whose fault it is. The fact of the matter is that as a result of the war, they're having oil shortage, and they're having lots of fights and combats there at the gas stations. Now, will that get to us? And because you're talking about Russia, which is a country that produces energy. And if they're having, energy shortages and energy fights and all of that, can you imagine what is going to happen to us? Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're interested in this topic. I can only get the energy from you. If you don't want interest in the topic, we can always move on to another topic if you're not interested in the Haitian topic. So do you have any other questions? We might move from the Haitian topic to something else you want to talk about, because I did know that you were not going to be interested in the Haitian topic. I do know that. I know I've been doing this for quite some time. Every time you publish a video on Haiti, you're not interested because you don't understand the history of Haiti, and you don't understand how it's connected to the Caribbean. And if we don't understand that history, that we're going right back on the plantation. Okay? So, what do you want? The U.S. engineered the war in Syria. They sent terrorists into Syria under Operation Timber. You're correct. Almost everything that is happening can be, traced back to U.S. foreign policy. Timber, Sycamore. Now they put an ISIS fighter in charge of Syria, creating mass migration of Syrians. We know that much of the terrorists in the world were created by the United States, by the CIA. Well, that's a fact. Right? A lot of the terrorists in the Middle East, particularly, were created. And this is what I'm saying. When we are thinking that the United States is fighting wars, fighting against whom? Because much of the people that it suggests it's fighting, and it's trying to fight against and against them to make us into to get us into a better and safe society, the United States created them. So who are they fighting against? Their own friends, their allies, right? The people that they actually brought into power. So what are these wars about? Are these wars about us? Are they against us? Were these wars made to eliminate us and also to violate our freedoms? These are to erode completely our freedoms. These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. And an immigrant will not fight for the country that they have moved to because it's not here, is not their home. Definitely benefits government to move the New World Order into existence. Absolutely. That's a very important point you're making. That people are not going to fight for a country that is not their original home. But again, too, they won't be able to fight in the first place because all their rights will have been taken away from them. Right? So they won't be able to fight. And this is so where are the Haitians going to be sent to? Are they going to be sent to Jamaica? Are they going to be sent to El Salvador? Are they going to be sent to what third country is Trump and his cronies trying to send them to? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Haiti and Cuba are the heroes of the Caribbean. They are the ones who have stood up, absolutely. But the thing about it is that we now, even though that they defended our rights, Cuba defended Caribbean rights, we also had Haiti defended Caribbean rights and rights of people all over the world. But now we find ourselves where we're not even interested in what is happening to them. Let them fix their themselves. Let them fix their countries by themselves. And by the way, African Americans are not the only ones who are saying that. Jamaicans are saying that. Barbadians are saying that. And all throughout the Caribbean, we are behaving as if the Haitian crisis just happened miraculously. It happened out of thin air and nobody contributed to it. Now, we're not suggesting that the United States did everything bad to Haiti. All right. What we're saying is that to a great extent, the United States stole, right, a lot of their assets. And also through the IMF, it also created political instability there. For example, during the presidency of, Aristide, you and I might not agree with Aristide, everything he did. But if the Haitian people would place him there democratically, they should respect, the United States should have respected their vote. Right? But they went down there and they took him out of power for no reason. Let the man stay until he was finished. And they didn't allow him to do that. Wars are for banks. Humans are collateral damage. Absolutely. Could not have been said better. The banks are the ones which create the wars. The banks are the ones which create the wars. And yet they're the ones now telling us that we have to go what? Cashless. Right, so that they can control us more, right? But the banks are dangerous. Banks are dangerous. In fact, the United States never wanted a central bank. They fought, the founding fathers fought against every central bank. It was the United States, it was through secret that Congress brought in the Federal Reserve, right? It was through secrecy that they brought in that. And when the Congress was on break, right? But it was not the United States, vision to have any central banks, because they know that central banks in your country, they are the warmongers. They are the ones who create wars and bloodshed because it is profitable. Because it is profitable. So all of these interest rates that we're paying back to these people, right? They are just, money in thin air. It's not even real. Chris is saying immigrants fight for the U.S. Army all the time. Very good. And the U.S. has a program where they offer citizenship in return for military service. The French Foreign Legion, I think, allows a lot of foreigners to join. Yes. And that was the whole point, Chris, that, the U.S. complains about immigrants. They forget that the United States is an immigrant country because some of them might have been there 2 or 3 generations before. Right? But they don't understand that immigrants do contribute a lot to the United States. In fact, let me just see if I can bring to you something I've read today about the Haitian deportation, the possible Haitian deportation, because they haven't started yet. So we don't want to say they're doing it until they, but it's CBS. CBS is giving some report here. CBC, not CBS. CBC. Is CBC the one from Canada? I think. On immigration, Trump administration has chalked up many wins than setbacks. And they have here that the United States Supreme Court denied an executive order by Donald Trump that going forward would have limited who can be considered an American citizen. Right? So they're even trying to define who is a citizen, which means, therefore, that you who have your citizenship, whether through being born there or through, the naturalization process, can also be deported if they decide to defrock you. Okay? That is what is being planned now, especially if the Haitian situation is not dealt with. The immigration crisis that they're doing, the deportation of Haitians, is not dealt with, and not, they don't step back on that. Now, limiting birthright citizenship was one of the top priorities in the Republican president's crackdown on immigration, so much so that he signed the executive order immediately after returning to the Oval Office in January 2025 for his second term. But Tuesday's Supreme Court decision was a rare legal setback from the justice for Trump, who otherwise has radically transformed the immigration and asylum stance of the US government in the past 18 months. All right? Now, the Trump administration essentially prevailed in a trio of other Supreme Court rulings in June. The top court ruled that the government can end temporary protected status protections for Haitians and Syrians who came to the United States as a result of warlike conditions or destructive natural disasters. So even if you have natural disasters, you can also be stopped. The decision specifically impacts more than 356,000 residents who have been in the United States for years and who could be compelled to go back to two countries that the State Department warns against traveling to, given their unstable and dangerous conditions. Overall, there are 1.3 million immigrants from 17 countries legally in the United States through the TPS program. 1.3 million immigrants. Now, what are they doing? What are these 1.3 million immigrants under this temporary protected status doing? I'm sure they're working. I'm sure most of them are working. The Supreme Court also sided, and they're paying their taxes, right, with the Trump administration on metering. The metering policy allowed U.S. immigration officials to stop asylum seekers before they reach the southern border, while President Barack Obama's administration initiated the policy to deal with a specific surge. The two Trump presidential administrations have expanded the policy whereby U.S. officials can indefinitely decline to process asylum claims. So what they're trying to do now is they're trying to stop asylum seekers. They want to end that program. Now, they are not going to divert those asylum seekers to third countries. That is the initial step. That is the initial goal, that the United States will no longer be a country where people who think that they are not safe in their country can flee to and can, reasonably speaking, get some amount of safety. They're saying that is the end of it. And this is not only a Trump agenda, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they're doing. This is what is going to happen, whether it's Obama or it is Kamala or it is Trump. It is the empire trying to do what they're doing. This is an imperial agenda. Now, how to fix it? Are you saying how to fix the immigration thing? That's what you're asking? Well, if we want to fix the immigration problem in the world, first of all, the United States will have to return, as the guy on the video said, the amounts of money that were stolen from these countries, right? Whether by the IMF, the World Bank, or any of these multilateral agencies. They have to also remove the guns that they're sending to Haiti and to the Caribbean to destabilize us, right? And to make our nation states untenable to live, where many people can't live because of the level of gun violence, rape, kidnappings, etc., etc. The drug trade, which the CIA controls, the United States would have to also stop the inflows of these large sums of drugs moving throughout the territory, which is also causing lots of displacement. So that is what we have to understand, okay? So it's a lot of things they will have to do, but we can begin there first. And perhaps afterwards, we will decide where to move from after solving those problems or attempting to solve some of those problems. Now, Chris is saying, I hate to say, but there seems to be a decrease in political consciousness in the US public. That's why they don't care about Haiti and say Haiti should fix its own problem. Absolutely. Absolutely. The United States citizens are more concerned about what is, happening on football. The latest on football, they're concerned about buying things online on Amazon when they're going to have the next delivery, and just very stupid things, very stupid things. And if they even travel, they're not traveling to understand the country that they're visiting. Superficially, yes. So they will say little things here and there, but they don't understand its history. They don't understand its economics. They don't understand its political, situation. They don't understand anything. In fact, as you're suggesting here, Chris, many Americans don't even understand their own political machinery there in the United States. They don't understand it, right? They have this very romanticized understanding of who they are. And as a result of that, they are going to be enslaved right there in their own country if they have not been already. Pedro is saying, yeah, Chris, that shows the loyalty they have. Yes, CBC is from Canada. Yeah, so we have, yes, CBC is from Canada, government media, right. Sometimes they give a little better than the media. So who is to define citizenship? The government will define it, right? Before, the courts would define it. But the court is now so compromised with the state that it seems to me that the Supreme Court is no longer a balanced court where decisions can be made without the influence of politics. Right? That was what they were sent there. And when you look at the whole situation, remember now that when during slavery and all these laws that were passed, pro-slavery laws, it was because the South was influencing the Supreme Court in every capacity. That the Supreme Court was actually violating the principles of the Constitution when they had slavery there, right? Now the same thing is happening because these economic people, right, like the billionaire class, they want free labor. They want to be able to have free and cheap labor. So what they're doing now, they are removing all of the protections of the law in which you have rights to your wage and to complain about the wage you're earning or anybody who is actually exploiting your labor. And they are now removing those protections. And when they do that now, they can be able, just like the Southerners, to reinstitute slavery in the past. Okay, and that's exactly what is happening. And we love it too, because look at how many people are online. You love slavery, but they're going to tell you that they don't love it because they're waiting on the government to stop it, and they're going to go and protest, and people think that when they protest, the government is going to listen to them, but government won't listen to you at all. They're just allowing you to go and break some sweat, to bust some sweat, and you think you've done something, and you feel good about yourself, but nothing is going to change. Because until we understand what is happening, then there can't be any change. And many of us don't want to understand what is really happening beneath the surface level reasoning that we have. Now, Sunflower Jam is saying, don't trust CBC. They had all through. Yeah, but you can't always not trust everything anybody say. That's what we read. We read everything. And when they make something that is good, yes, there's sometimes a paragraph, there's an article that is written that can be used. I use it. Even the New York Times, I don't trust any of them. Right? But there are times when they write things that you have to say is true, right? And if there's any fault in it in terms of truth or untruth, then you unpack that to help your listeners to understand. But it doesn't mean because one paper might not be, trustworthy, we can't read. We need to read as from many sources, because even the ones we think we trust, they too sometimes come with their flaws, because humans are flawed. Chris is saying, I'm wondering about the implications of Trump removing birthright citizenship. Now, this is what they're doing. So if they can remove the temporary protected status from Haitians by criminalizing them, right? What they can do now, let us say that I'm Black in America, right? And I have committed a crime, or they have, concocted a crime against me. It means that Trump can defrock me and send me to, if I'm in prison particularly, and send me to a third country, which he did say. But people are still not listening to Trump. From he came into office, he has been threatening that he is going to send even American citizens from the prison cells to third country, and he was referring to El Salvador. Right? So when we think that this is just a Haitian crisis and this is all about Haitian immigrants, Americans are going to wake up one day to say green card holders as well as citizens can also be sent to third countries depending on whether the state deems you to be a criminal. And what they're doing now, they're almost criminalizing the Haitians and saying that they have to go home. Yeah, stopping human trafficking, right? They need to stop human trafficking, that is what it's about to. This whole matter of sending them to third country, that is human trafficking. So they won't stop it because human trafficking comes in different forms, right? And they're trying now to make human trafficking legal. That's what he's legalizing, human trafficking. where he can send people, not only Trump, but any US president can send anybody wherever they want to go. And then they're going to internationalize it. Jamaica is going to do it. Trinidad is going to do it. Guyana is going to do it. And then we're all slaves in this grand system, in this new world order. Okay? Now, Pedro Jamati is saying you're mixing something here. Trump lost the birthright citizenship and won the TPS. Yeah, he has lost it, but it doesn't mean therefore for now. Right? Remember now that's how they do things in stages. Sometimes they win this one, and sometimes because remember the TPS, they lost it last year. They lost it last year. The Supreme Court had protected the Haitians and told them that Haitian citizens were protected and other TPS members. So they had a temporary win. It doesn't mean, therefore, that they're not still pressing it. And now they've pressed again, and the Supreme Court is suggesting that he has the power. All right. So when we think he has lost in one, it doesn't mean that he has lost forever. Sometimes it's just a temporary loss until he gains, or another president will move forward with that agenda. Now, remember, too, that all presidents have an agenda. And Trump's agenda in his second term is immigration. And he's overhauling, as it were, revolutionizing the entire immigration process. Biden started it. Remember that Biden was even beating the Haitians and sending them back home. Remember, we had those guys on the horses, and they were whipping the Haitians and telling them to go home at the border. So this is not only Trump that started it. And as the article said from CBC, it started under Obama. So what they do, they continue. But Trump has now upped the thing. And he has told them that he's now legalizing, militarizing, legally, as it were, the whole immigration process. Now, I think we all need to take responsibility for the countries we are born in and fix it. We have been brainwashed into thinking we're not capable of this. Power back to the people, a whole new system. Now, I think that when you look back in history, Europe, for example, how did America come into being? Because they did a lot of fights there in Europe. They had an entire Reformation called the Protestant Reformation, in which these people fought. They really fought the best that they could against the system, the sort of religious political system in Europe, the fascist system in Europe. However, afterwards, they couldn't do anything because the state has much more power than citizens, and they eventually left. So I think that Haitians have been fighting too. Nobody really fights as hard as Haitian citizens do, right? But you have to understand, we can't also deny that the system is up against us and there is nobody helping them. Now, remember now that African Americans and Jamaicans and other people don't like to remember that Haiti helped us too during our war against slavery. But there's nobody to help Haitian citizens. So if there's nobody to help you, to rescue you against these powerful people, it might be very difficult for you to fight against them because it's a powerful machinery. And now that we have the surveillance and technologies, it's even much more so powerful. Okay? When media is funded by government, it is propaganda. That is it. That is it. And you're correct. But the fact of the matter, though, it's funded not by government alone, because it's also funded by the private sector, by corporations. It's predominantly corporations, and corporations control your government. So it's that sort of fascism, yes. But that's the way how the world is set up in the Western world hemisphere right now. Chris is saying, just checking my facts, but to be more accurate, service in the U.S. military fast tracks and speeds of the process to getting citizenship. It doesn't automatically grant citizenship, but speeds the process. I think that you're right. Because, yeah, I think you're correct there. I think you're correct. And we have here, Chris is saying, Trump tried to deport green card holders for protesting for Palestine, but he failed. Right. Yeah, he failed. And a lot of things he failed for. Remember, I was just telling Pedro Demont that he actually failed for the TPS last year. Let me just show you a New York Times article that was written today. I didn't save it, but it was last year that Trump actually wanted to deport the TPS people, but the Supreme Court hadn't allowed him to do so last year. So Trump wanted, let me see if I can find that article. Trump wanted to deport the TPS from last year. Last year was 2025, but he didn't. TPS. Let me get that article if I can get it up. TPS from last year. But he did not succeed, and he finally succeeded this year. So when they lose, as I'm saying, it might be a temporary loss. Okay? Look at this. This is from the New York Times. I might not be able to open the New York Times because I haven't really subscribed to it, so it might not allow me. But if I can read a sentence here from what they're saying, which is true, that last year he wanted to deport many of these temporary protected status people. Let me go back here. But it says here, since last year, the Trump administration has moved to end TPS designation for 13 countries, prompting several lawsuits from groups. So from last year, he was actually working on doing that, but he did not succeed. But he succeeded this year. Right? So even though he has not yet succeeded in deporting green card holders, remember now that Trump also wanted green card applicants to go back to their countries of origin to apply for the green card. But because of civil pressure on this agenda, he stepped back. It doesn't mean, therefore, that his agenda has been totally annulled. It just means that he's breathing and he's looking at another loophole through which he can make this law into being. So let us not be deceived that because he loses one battle here, it means that he's lost forever, because this is much more than Trump. This is the United States wanting to implement draconian laws and to make citizenship and immigration into a military combat. Everything in the United States, from healthcare to immigration to just about everything, will be militarized, right? Will be and are being militarized. Then we have the Pedro Giamatti saying, we've been lied to for too long. The said freedom fighters owns property in the West, even spends their offspring there. You're correct. You're correct. You are correct. You are correct. We're getting some very interesting comments. Just hope the people would share the live. The algorithm is not sending out the live as we would like the live to be sent out. I don't know for what reason. It's holding up the live. Haiti helped Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela too. It's reflected in their flags. They provided Simon Bolivar refugees in Haiti and provided military aid on the condition that slavery would be abolished. Yes, and we'll be having Professor Robert Fatten, who will be coming on the live on Sunday at 10 o'clock to share his insights about what is happening with this TPS. But I'm sorry that I invited him based on your, well, I shouldn't say that because here you are, and so you are actually participating. But I thought that this would have been a better live so we could get him. Well, he's going to come anyway, and he's going to share his insights to us on the whole Haitian problem, because this is something that people are not talking about. Neither do they understand to a certain extent. So we have to educate them. So you're correct, Michelle Forrester, that Haiti was instrumental in helping those South American countries. Absolutely. Respect to Haiti always, yes. And we have here that, Michelle, thank you for the live as always. Yes. And again, remember that Professor Fatten, Robert Fatten, he is a Haitian scholar, will be coming, and he is, I think, if I'm not sure, he is a professor at the University of Virginia, So he'll be coming on Sunday at 10 a.m. He can't make it in the night, so he told me that he'll be coming, and we'll be having the live on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Make sure you're there. Invite your family and friends, because this is a very important live by Professor Robert Fatten of the University of Virginia. Now, we have here Sunflower saying, we've been lied to. That became clear in 2020. I'm from Canada, and the only way out of the agenda, Great Reset, is for people to come together. If not, the future is not very good for our people. People are not going to come together. Why? Because the only people can only come together in truth. And most people don't want to hear the truth. right? I think that most people want to hear something that makes them go back into their comfort zone. So if they can hear that, somebody's going to come and have a revolution and free them from what is going to happen, they don't want to be a part of that struggle. They just want the benefits of the struggle. And that's what people are, right? People are not willing to fight, right? They're just there to follow. And that's what you have to understand. Most of the people in our world are not leaders. They're followers. And they just follow a group. And sometimes they follow them to their death. And that's what happened during the pandemic. The Western powers keep Haiti poor and underdeveloped to steal its resources and as a message to all Black peoples. Absolutely, that's what they're doing. It's a message. And remember that it's connected to what is happening because, again, who people the prison cells of the United States by and large? Black people. Black people are the ones who what? Who populate the prison cells of the United States. And those are the people that Trump is referring to that he's going to send back to a third country. He's going to send them to a third country, empty the prison cells and send them to a third country. And that is what we have to understand. So this is also an anti-African descendants, policy. But African Americans are not seeing that. They think that they're quite comfortable because they think that, oh, why don't the Haitians go back to their country? Right? As if they have a country. Now, Michelle Forrester says white supremacy is the agenda in the USA under the current administration. How do we explain what he's doing to the Syrians? And the Syrians we probably would consider to be, white, aren't they? How would you respond to someone who say, it's not just Black people, but he's also sending home Syrians? What would you say to them? What would be your argument? And let me try if I could have some of you in the chat. Do you want to speak on the chat? Let me send you the. I'm trying to experiment with this too. So I might call you in. Any of you interested in speaking? Let me send you the guest. What do you call it now? Invitation. And you can click on this and I'll let you in. You can either speak on audio if you want to speak on video, but it's okay if you want to just use your audio because sometimes some of you want to be private. Okay. Let me write Syrians are not white in America. Okay, you're saying that they're not white in America, so they're not sending them home. Okay, just like the Italians were not considered to be white and the Irish too. Yes. Well, we have here, COVID passed and persons still don't know how it was done. Yeah, but if we don't know the specifics, I think we do know that it was not real. It was not a natural virus. That we do know. In terms of how it was, spread and how it was developed, people have their ideas. Things have been said, information has been dispensed. But we do know that it was not a natural virus. If you don't know that now, I think that people are living in a dark world, right? Because even the powers that be, I think even Fauci has, eventually he admitted that it was something concocted in a laboratory. Okay, so that we do know. The problem is, why are we trusting these people? Why do we continue to trust these people when we know that they made a malicious virus that killed a lot of people? If they did that, what are they capable of not doing? That's the question. Yes. Anybody wants to try? You want to come inside and you can use that link I sent to you and you can come and chat. If you want to, if you don't want to, if you're tired of writing. White supremacy is what keep Black people down, an illusion. Yes. Well, the fact is that everything, as you're saying, is not done because of white supremacy. But the fact remains, though, Pedro Jamat, that our people, Black people, are always going to be at the bottom. So even though it's affecting other people, other ethnic groups, we are always going to be at the bottom. And that's the whole point I want to make on this program. Not that it's just affecting Black people. The agenda is not for Black people, it's for the entire people, right? However, the fact is that the agenda is going to see people of African descent at the bottom. And that is why we have to fight, and that what we have to inform our people that we have to take action, because we always end up being at the bottom. Remember during the pandemic, as it started, they were talking about how our genetics are made up, Black people's genetics and all of that, almost like they wanted us to die first, right? And how we did not, they had some weird things that they were saying, right, during the pandemic about people of African descent and or genetics. Michelle is saying, I'm Jamaican born, but grew up in the USA. White supremacy does not see brown people as white, and many Syrians, not all, are Muslim, and the Christian nationalists don't like, mind you, there are Christians. Yeah, and you're right. And the thing about it though is that their understanding of whiteness can vary and can change from day to day. I was saying that the Irish before, they weren't considered to be whites too, right? The white Americans, what do you call them now? The white Protestants, what do you call them? The WP, whatever they were called. The white American Protestant, the WASP, right? The WASP, the white American, Protestants, they never considered Italians in the first place when they went there, Italian immigrants, to be whites, and the Irish, but eventually they joined them up because that's what they do. So don't be surprised if tomorrow, if they need to have Syrians join in their efforts to fight against Black people and other peoples of color, that they will make them white. And that's why we have to also be careful of what they do, because often what they do today might not be what they do tomorrow, and they are flexible in changing what whiteness means, because there's no whiteness anyway, but because whiteness is subjective, right? Is a social construct. So they will change from day to day who they will deem to be white, right? Tomorrow, maybe Latinos will be white. Who to tell? So why not let Black supremacy rule? Well, Black people don't have the economic power. And you have to have that economic power to be able to rule, right? So if you don't have that, we can't rule. We can't have white Black supremacy from that perspective. But maybe if we had the money, we would have Black supremacy. I don't know. But right now we don't have that amount of money that white people have. Okay. You see America Congress. Yeah. So that is what anybody wants to join the live in terms of talking. If you want to, let me just see if somebody wants to come in here just to see how it works. If you want to come, I sent you the link to the live, so you can come in at the back and I'll put you onto the screen. The Irish and the Italians became white over time because Anglo-Saxons or blue bloods are outnumbered, right? And that's the point, by brown and Black people, right? White supremacy is a made-up construct with real world consequences. You're correct. It's because they thought that the Black and also the brown, but even also the working class whites, they didn't want the working class white people to join up with the brown and the Blacks, because remember the whites in the South weren't treated well during slavery. They were treated like pigs, right? So they didn't want the unity among the people in America to fight against the oligarchy, the money class, the money interest in the United States, the economic interest. So what they did, they created this very rigid system of white supremacy so that they could keep these people closer to them, so that the majority would not join up against them and defeat the oligarchy in the United States. And that's exactly, you're correct, Michelle, that's exactly what they did. Then we have Michelle Forrester says, my major was American Studies, and I love your life because I have never stopped studying and reading and learning my Jamaican roots. And thank you so much, and Jamaican likewise. And it's a pleasure to have you. And we like people here who know their history, understand it, and are willing to share with us. Pedro Jamat is saying, the persons who construct the term was sitting among the whites and weren't kept out. What do you mean by that? Construct what? Black or white supremacy? Now, white supremacy is real, right? And we just have to study the history. It is real. And we must understand that it's a real concept. And it's something that we have to study, right? But it's not something that we should be obsessed with, but it's something that we should study and study well. Hey guys, sorry to be late. Glad to be here now. Yes, and thank you so much for joining our live. We're looking at the topic 350,000 Haitians at risk. Who's next in the deportation crackdown? And we know that this is not just about Haitian, as we were saying here, Trevor, but it has to do with people of all ilk and all nationalities that the United States is actually clamping down on its laws and trying to even, implement this understanding of free labor, exploited labor. They can send you wherever they want to. They can have labor that people are not able to actually protest, right? Because let us say now the Haitians remain in the United States, some of them. Do you think that if somebody is exploiting their labor, that they will be able to protest against the United States, or not the United States, but the employer? No, they won't be able to do that. They won't be able to do that because they are afraid, and they will think that if they do register their complaints, that they will be actually deported from the United States. Yeah, so that is what is happening. Yes, yes, yes. And anybody who wants to join the live to talk, as I'm saying, if you want to give your opinions, you can join the live in terms of, I sent you the guest chat, the chat here, the link. Let me send it again, the link to the chat, to the live, and then you can come on and we can, if you want to speak, on video or on the audio. And it's good too because it's like an experiment I'd like to talk about, to develop. This is a link to the live. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, so we have that. Now, in most cases, the Supreme Court has been a rubber stamp for Trump's mass deportation agenda. That's what they're saying, and it is. So notice how the Supreme Court sometimes behave as if it is actually against Trump policies, and then tomorrow it winds up rubber stamping his policies. Have you noticed that? And then we have here, you think they should be allowed to stay? Well, the fact is, yes, they should be allowed to stay until the United States decides to restore order back to Haiti. Based on our understanding, and I've read enough of Haiti, the United States is responsible for the disorder and the social decay, the political instability and economic instability in Haiti. So if the United States returns the stolen wealth from Haiti and restore political order there, right, then they can go back home to rebuild Haiti, right? But for now, the level of disorder that is there, they need to stay until some order is restored to Haiti. Haitians were used as scapegoats. Give me 1 second. Hello. Yeah, so we were saying that, sorry about that, that the whole US Supreme Court hypocrisy is something that we will have to watch. Now, the Supreme Court decision should have been unanimous because the 14th Amendment is extremely very clear. So the 5-4 decision, while still a win, is disappointing. You're correct. So they will definitely try to chip away the laws. Yes, you're right. You're right. And this is what we have to really understand, that, when you think about democracy, sometimes one vote, you're one vote away into slavery. And that is democracy. And that's why some people talk about democracy. Is it something that sometimes always works, or it might not? Sometimes it can also lead to enslavement, because one vote, you're just one vote away from going back to the plantation. And that is what you're saying, decision 5-4. And this is some of the things that we have to debate amongst ourselves. Okay, I don't think this live was something very successful, so we don't want to exhaust it right now. But it was great, and I hope you'll be back on Sunday when Professor Robert Fatton, is going to be coming on to join our live. I thought this would have been a more healthier live, a more robust live on Haiti, but many of us are not interested in the topic of Haiti. Don't know why. Did say it, and disappointingly, it is true, right? So we just have to live until what's happening in Haiti is affecting our country, and it's going to affect our country. We can see that Jamaica's involved. All of these countries are involved with the third countries, and accepting third country nationals. So we're going to end up in some very serious crisis very soon. And I think that if we were studying these things, it would have helped us to, well, at least be beneficial to see what our governments are doing. Michelle is saying, away at it, but the 14th Amendment is clear that all persons naturalized or born in USA and subject to the jurisdictions are citizens. Yes, but what is happening is that they are now redefining the laws, and that is what the U.S. is quietly doing, redefining, reshaping laws, and that is why we are talking about human rights. Rights were not meant to be given by a court. This should have been natural rights, as the Constitution says, right? That all men are created equally, and not a right to be given by government. But people believe in human rights, and they think that rights can be given by government. But the United States, if the Constitution is read fairly and well, that would govern, and they would know that that's illegal, what they're actually doing. Marie was saying, I was listening, Professor Just occupied today. I understand, and I understand, not you, Michelle, but I thought that we'd have far more people here on the live talking about Haiti and this very troubling situation that is happening in the United States for Haitians. This is troubling, and it's going to affect the Caribbean and also North American citizens, because this is something that they're trying to revolutionize immigration, as it were, labor policies, as it were, and very soon we are going to be in problem in terms of not having any rights to stand up for, exploitation when somebody's not paying you well, and all of that. And the Haitians are going through that in America, in the DR, all around the world, even in Brazil. Trevor is saying most people have been indoctrinated to ostracize Haiti, right, and to say that it's their problem. We tend to do that with all countries too, and people do that if they see lots of immigrants coming in and they don't have a lot of rights. We just say that, oh, something is wrong with them. Marie saying the USA wants to attack Haiti possibly after they are finished with Cuba. Yes. I think that they already control Haiti, though I don't think there's any need to occupy them or to attack them because they're already occupied. They're already occupied. And that is what Haitians want the US to do, to get out. They're asking them to get out and allow the Haitians to solve their own problems. But they are already occupied now. They don't have a functional government, since as Jemima Pear has said on many occasions when she came on this platform and on many other programs that she has been on, she says that that essentially since 2004, since the deposition of Aristide, that Haiti has not been a functioning state, right? It has not been a functioning state since 2004. Right? And now we're in 2026. The United States has been having its way from 2004. Okay, so that's how many years? 22 years that the United States has been occupying Haiti, essentially. I mean, unofficially. Pedro Jamot is saying you were asleep when your rights got taken away 5 years ago. I wasn't asleep. That's why I was always here telling people not to. I wasn't online here. I wasn't on videos, but I was telling people not to be careful of what they're doing. But I wasn't asleep 5 years ago at all. In fact, I think it was a pandemic that sort of prodded me to start a channel. I didn't want to start a channel. I didn't want to come and talk on any program, right? Do any videos. That's unlike me to be doing videos, right? But I thought it was necessary when I saw what happened during the pandemic. Trevor said the next move will be to really enforce women coming into the United States pregnant, among others, right? Because the women would give the children rights, right? And that is how they would populate, because they know what they're doing. If they should have allowed the women to remain, that law to remain, then you'll be having lots of Haitian women and other, people going to the United States, mothers rather, to have their babies, and then their children will, get that sort of birthright, even though that's what they're trying to do now too. Everything is connected. They're trying to now remove birthright citizenship, because all of these things are interconnected: immigration, birthright citizenship, and also women going there, pregnant women going to the United States to have their babies. They know they're trying to cover every corner, that they don't miss anything, that they won't have immigrants coming to their country. Michelle Forrester is saying, by design, Jemima just did a live today on Haiti on another channel. Interesting. And I've been trying to invite her because on this live, but she probably is very, very busy. But Professor Robert Fanon is also a very good one. And he will be participating on this live on Sunday at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. live. This Sunday, July 5th, please come to Professor Robert Fanon from the University of Virginia, and he will be shedding some more light on what is happening with the Haitians and this migratory problem that Trump has created. Now, after the Haiti decision last week, White House advisor Stephen Miller, listen to what he says. Stephen Miller declared America's doors are fully closed to asylum seekers. If you want asylum, we'll find another country to take you. That's what Steve Miller is saying. If you want asylum, we'll find another country to take you. So America is no longer an asylum country. If you are seeking some form of safety, refuge, you've got to go to another country. And if you end up in the United States, they are going to deport you to another country. So you can't go there and think that's going to be a part of the legal process anymore. But as you're saying, it could be that they will allow other ethnic groups that might be a part of their agenda, right, to gain asylum. But for certain, not for Black people, not for Caribbean people. Right? You can't be seeking asylum in the United States of America. Those days are gone. So even if you're going through civil war in your country, the United States is no longer going to accept you as a refugee, as an asylum seeker. Trevor is saying the Supreme ruling will be used for more political firepower for the Democrats. Absolutely. And form more disdain and separation among their people and be ushered in as heroes for civil rights of foreigners. People are asking, where's Congress? And that's what we have to, that Congress is just as fully on board with it. They're just making noise as a part of the political theater. But they understand what Trump is doing is sort of recreating, redesigning, as it were, citizenship and more power to these, economic, oligarchs, that they can do whatever they want. They can exploit us however they want. And if we dare to resist, then they can criminalize us and say he's a criminal or she's a criminal, and let's deport him or her to El Salvador. Michelle is saying they want white immigrants. Why take white South Africaners and lie that they are victims of genocide in South Africa. Now, remember too that the guy there is from South Africa. What's his name? Elon Musk, right? So it could be the reasons, and they probably favoring some of the people that he wants, or might share the political philosophy ideology of Trump. So that's one of the reasons why they might have taken the South Africans, the white South Africans, because Elon Musk defines a lot of the policies there. Remember, he gave Trump a lot of money during his campaign, so he will have a lot of say in how things are done in America at the moment, because he is an oligarch. He's an oligarch and very wealthy. Trevor is saying if it doesn't work either way, it will add to the civil frustration and separation, war and hatred of others. Absolutely. It is going to cause chaos, and it's going to create a lot of divisions and separation of parents. And it will create child trafficking. Because if children are separated from their parents, then they're not, protected. The parents are there to protect them, to shield them from any abuse, right? So what you're going to have now when these children are left in the United States on their own, to fend on their own, then you'll have a lot more of. They'll be placed into homes, and a lot of these homes, that what they do, they foster child trafficking and sacrifice. Marie saying, I'm trying to figure out why Elon Musk is so interested in the English-speaking Caribbean at this time. That's a good question. I think he's actually implementing the Skylink. He's all over the Caribbean, Skylink and all of these operations. I'm sure he's doing a lot of business there in the Caribbean. He's a big part of the New World Order and the smart cities too, because he's so much involved in technology. On Andrea Crawford is saying Jamaica is doing very well with improving their island. So why the Haitians do the same? They have a bigger island. I don't know if Jamaica is doing much better. I just think that the Haitians, because we are the most migrant people in the world, in the Caribbean at least. Jamaica is second. I think it's second. Yeah, not the most. So we are the second most migrant people in the world, not the Caribbean, in the world. So why are Jamaicans moving, and why are they everywhere in the Caribbean, in Africa, in Europe, wherever you are? I'm not suggesting that a few have not moved because they want to live in Trinidad or they want to live in Ghana. That's their choice. But many of them are moving. The large majority of Jamaicans are moving for economic reasons. We're migratory people because of the lack of economic opportunities. Let's speak the truth. So we have more stability in Jamaica than Haiti does. So we can't say we are the same from that perspective. But economically, we are not doing well. Why do you think many people were actually, protesting yesterday in Crossroads in Kingston, right? Because people are saying they are not surviving. They're not surviving. They can't afford the cost of living. They can't afford housing, right? The roads are filled with potholes. Jamaica is actually imploding right now as we speak, right? Not to the degree of Haiti, of course, because we've had, the British, we behaved ourselves and we ended slavery, a little longer. So we have a little bit more of a structure that the British left us. But how much longer that will last in Jamaica, I'm not sure, because we're getting more disorderly every day. Okay. Trevor is saying Congress are all part of it. They are. The elites need a fall guy with thick skin, right, to do the job, and that's Trump, right? And he's shameless, correct? And he's shameless. You're correct. It works out best for Congress and the order because people being led by emotions leads to laws. You're correct on everything you've said. They need somebody as shameless and thick-skinned as Trump is. And my God, isn't he doing a great job in terms of working against us? He's not doing a great job in terms of, following the law. He's doing a great job of doing what they want him to do, and he's shameless. He just comes and he speaks into the camera and says, yes, that's what I want to do, and you don't like it? Well, I don't care. So we have never seen a president so shameless as President Trump. He doesn't have any filter, as it were, and no diplomacy at all. He's an unusual American president. Maybe maybe they probably can say to some extent what his name was too. Jackson, President Jackson was that sort of guy too, but I think he had a little bit more scruples than Trump. Then we have the videos you showed in the beginning was a good summary, absolutely, and that's why I was hoping that many people would have joined. Or the professor coming on do more about the whole rice situation where the Haitian, yes, I'm going to ask him about these things. Yeah, so thank you for reminding me. And if you guys have any other questions, you can send them if you want him to answer some of these questions. Send them to my email. Let me send you my email address. So thank you for pointing that out, Michelle. And those of you, and including Michelle, if you have other questions, you can send them to my email address, agtuckerus@gmail.com, and you can send these questions because since you will be on the live, you want to ask, but you can also ask them in the chat too. But if you want me to ask just to be there, because he just will be there for 2 hours, so we want to be structured. So if you have any questions that are burning and you need to have those answered by him, because he's a brilliant scholar. In fact, I had downloaded something today, somebody quoting him extensively because of how brilliant a book that he had written about the periphery of Haiti, something of the sort. Let me see if I could find it. Invitation on Immigration, Trump. Okay, let me see if I could go back into my thing and find that some of what the guy here says about him, because he's professor. Let me write it for you guys, so you can also do your research on him. You're also going to be on the live, so you want to know if the person who you are coming to see is somebody you want to hear. So Professor Robert Fanon Jr., he's brilliant. I've seen him on YouTube and other videos, so you can check. He's almost like what you call the Jemima, and a brighter person. But I shouldn't say that, but he is more experienced than Jemima, put it that way. Trevor is saying Jamaica's cost and quality of living is a direct mirror to the near future of Caribbean and the first to fall into chaos that awaits once inflation completes its job to collapse the dollar. Yeah, I've never thought that Jamaica was very far away from Haiti in terms of how we have been treated, in the Caribbean. I just think that Jamaicans are, the best way to handle it. I think many of us have moved. We have moved away from the country. I think that if we were to be, cornered into staying in Jamaica, that Jamaica would have long been burnt down, if you will. People would have gotten very upset and, fed up of what is happening in Jamaica and would have burnt the entire system down, But, people have been, fortunately, they have been able to move to other Caribbean countries, to Europe, to wherever they could find a way of life, But Jamaica is not much different in terms of where we're moving to. Remember now, we have to differentiate between rhetoric and reality. So the Prime Minister of Jamaica talks about, GDP growth and all of what he's talking about. There's no GDP growth in Jamaica anyway. No GDP growth at all, right? And let me just give you a context too, because today I saw in the Trinidad Express, and tell me, shut me down if I'm talking too fast. In the Trinidad Express, there was a letter written by this person, and this is coming from Trinidad. That's a much more educated society than Jamaica. All right. So let me just show you what is happening in Trinidad. For those of you who think things are rosy in Jamaica, right? Let me just give you something that this writer here from the Trinidad Express wrote today. And she was talking about the fact that many people in Trinidad who are educated, skilled, right? They've gone back to school, they've done what people tell them to get, right? And they've come out of school and they can't get a job. They're jobless, right? They're jobless right there in Trinidad and Tobago, which has a better economy and a more educated society than Jamaica. They're going through. So let me see if I can find that letter and read it to you guys, because we're in trouble. We're in trouble. This is not just Haiti. This is, and the entire Caribbean is in trouble from Barbados, Trinidad to Guyana. We're all in trouble. No matter how much oil is in Trinidad and also in Guyana, they're not going to having a wonderful time. Let me see if I could find the letter, if it's just opinion or it was a letter. I think it was a letter, but I'm not seeing it on my screen right now. I read it today, and it was about the fact that joblessness in Trinidad and Tobago. And the person was lamenting the fact that it's a serious crisis that many people are not talking about. Political with a big P. Where's the thing on letters? Where do you find the letter? I can't find the letter on Express. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, letter to the editor. Let me see if I can find it. Why is it not coming up? You're clicking and the thing is not coming up. It's weird. Let me see if I could get it again. Letter to the editor. Letters to the editor, rather. Okay, good. So it's now submit a letter to the editor. Immigrant initiative. I think this was it. I think, what of the future of our young people? Why is this thing not coming up? It comes up the second time. The first time I click it, it never comes up, and then it comes up the second time. All right, let me click it again. Number 2. Yeah, it's not coming up, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why. Yeah, but the person here that wrote the letter was lamenting the fact that many people in Trinidad and Tobago, young people who have gone back to school, right? Oh yes, it's right here. The pain of jobless is growing. The pain of jobless is growing. The pain of joblessness, I would think she's saying. Unemployment in Trinidad and Tobago is becoming an unbearable reality for many citizens, this writer is saying. Across the country, many qualified and experienced people are struggling to secure jobs despite years of hard work, sacrifice, and education. Even more concerning is the plight of our young people, graduates leaving tertiary institutions full of hope, only to be met with closed doors and endless disappointment. Why? At the same time, small, medium, and micro enterprises, the backbone of our economy, are being forced to cut back staff or shut down completely because of the status quo of the economy. This only adds to the growing unemployment situation. We keep hearing from the relevant authorities that jobs are available. So they're telling, in Jamaica, they're telling us that we're short. In fact, they're saying we're short on people who, on unskilled laborers. In other words, they're saying there are jobs, but they don't have the people to do the jobs. And that's what this paper is saying. The writer is saying that we keep hearing from the relevant authorities that jobs are available and that the economy is improving. But many citizens are asking, if jobs are there, who exactly is getting them? Who's getting the jobs? Because the Trinidadians are saying, and the Tobagonians are saying, we can't find the job. And even though we have prepared ourselves educationally, right, and I'm sure skill-wise too, but we can't find the job. Is it the average hardworking citizen, or is it friends and families benefiting from opportunities while others are left behind? The reality on the ground tells a different story. So when our politicians tell us something, the realities on the ground tell a different story. Families are struggling, young professionals are losing faith, and businesses are fighting to survive. It is time for transparency, accountability, and real action to create opportunities for all, not just a privileged few at the top. The people of Trinidad and Tobago deserve better, and we cannot afford to ignore this growing frustration and reality. So we in the Caribbean are not doing as well as we think we are doing. Yeah. So look at Trinidad, especially Barbados, they are right behind. Yeah. Right. So we have this thing that is only Haiti and, and whatever Jamaica is building. What is Jamaica building? Right. What is Jamaica building? Building for the oligarchs, building for the wealthy, but it's not building for the ordinary man in Jamaica. Definitely not, because people there are suffering, right? And people abroad who send them remittances are complaining that they have to send their family more money because things are really bad in Jamaica. Michelle Forrester is saying, can you as about how colorism and class system in Haiti contribute to the politics? I'm also going to ask him that, because he's also, I think, Professor he might be of that class, if I'm not aware of the upper echelon of the Haitian society. Well, he was, because he's been a citizen of the United States for years. So so yes, I'll ask him about that and how his class, might have contributed to the suppression of Haitian rights and also their suffering, their prosperity rather. It seems like the bourgeoisie often sides with Western interests. He does not, though. He really has written some very sharp things against what the Americans have done and the Western elites have done to Haiti. Yes, I've listened to him and I've read a couple of his writings, and he cut to the chase. He doesn't really, he's a guy like the one from Guyana, Professor Hinson. He tells it as it is, with Western interest rather than average everyday Haitians. I could be wrong, but a detailed explanation would be nice. Yes, I'm going to ask him all these questions because it's not just a U.S. problem. It's just like Jamaica. The people there in these countries also contribute, and our problems, we have internal problems, whether in Jamaica or in Haiti. People are fighting against each other for political power and economic spoils. Yes, Trevor is saying only this morning there was a huge headline. A construction firm in Barbados had something akin to a refugee camp with people of every nation living on site in poor conditions and little to none pay. Could you send me that article, if you will, Trevor? Because this is what I'm saying here. That's where we're moving to. The whole third country is about getting workers to work for little or nothing. And if you dare complain, if you dare challenge the system, then they can send you even to a worse country where you can be tortured. All right? So this is what they're shutting us up. They're shutting us down. That's what they're doing. They're literally shutting us down. And the law will be used against us. And that is what the Haitians are finding very difficult now to fight. Because when you have the state, and the state has also implemented the law, how can you fight them? That's why slavery was so difficult to end, guys, because it was legalized. So it was difficult. It was right there. It had to be removed from the books before it had to go. The system went. It would not go if it were still on US books that slavery was legal. Right? So they're now legalizing human trafficking and also exploiting human labor. And that's exactly what they're doing. You're getting unsurprised. You never saw it. Well, it's not we are surprised, Predator. I'm sure Trevor is not surprised too. It's just the fact that when people say things are going to happen and when they're really happening, it can become scary. So I can say, for example, that tomorrow there will be a category 4, hurricane, and you will, whatever, and you try to do whatever, you behave as if you're brave and whatever. And when it comes, when the hurricane actually shows up, people start to, they get concerned when they hear the winds, right? And all of that, the rains and all of that stuff, and destruction, you see destruction. So that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing everything that we're talking about. And that's what Trevor is highlighting. We're seeing coming to pass in our own respective countries. Trevor is saying, and the irony of the construction firm being a white man, another middle passage has begun. But they will tell the people that the young people don't want to work. Exactly. The so-called leaders are so treasonous. And that's what they're doing. They have stolen from the economy, right? And they have created disastrous economies. And they will gaslight the people of Trinidad and Tobago, who are intelligent people. They go to school. They get their education, they get their degree, their skill, whatever they need to get, and then no jobs. And when they're saying, "Oh, where are the jobs?" "Oh, their jobs are here." Just like you probably not finding them. You're not very, hardworking, right? You are persistent, and they're just gaslighting us, right? They're just gaslighting us. And that's the sad thing. Trevor is saying, "I try to find a digital link." Yes, if not, I have to email images of the article to you. Yeah, we'll do that. But the fact of the matter is that things we're talking about on this live, we're seeing them coming to pass. Because I never heard about that from Barbados. But this is where we're going. When Jamaica says it's taking third country nationals, it's not just because it wants them deported to run around there. And Andrew Holness went to Guyana suggesting that, we need, we're moving from an era, he said, where you'd have skilled laborers going to these metropolitan nations like the USA, Canada, and to Great Britain. Now we need them to come to us. That's what Andrew Holness says. We need the skilled laborers to come to us in the Caribbean, right? So we're going to be having people coming from all different, from the United States primarily, but afterwards, other countries will join, onto these laws, and they will send their people free labor. Remember too that during slavery, the Irish and other people were sent to the Caribbean. Some of them were criminals. Well, they were branded as criminals, right? And the way how they would enslave them or punish them was to send them to the plantations to work, right? So it's not something new. This is not a new thing that's being unfolded before us. These are things that they have been doing forever, right? Only that we have not really been, attentive, vigilant enough to understand what they're doing. Now, Andrea Crawford is saying, so many Jamaicans are moving back to Jamaica, and some Americans are moving to Jamaica as well. Chinese are doing a lot of highways, roads, and buildings. Very good point you're raising here. Now, many Jamaicans move back to Jamaica and leave too, right? Some of them, after they've been back, they move because something is wrong. And we saw this lady, this teacher from who is Jamaican, and she went to the United States, years ago, and she thought she wanted to go back home to retire, where she would, enjoy, eat her mangoes and enjoy Caribbean life. And she after a year, she had to go back. She said it was just too much. It was just too much. I did the same thing. I wanted to go back home, right? I went and I could not deal with it. Right, it was very difficult to remain in Jamaica. The chaos, the disorder, right? I remember, I don't want to get down into that sort of what happened and all that stuff, but it's just too much chaos, and also the cost of living is what is going to kill people there. The cost of living in Jamaica is just too high, right? It's just too high. Food, transportation, it's just too high. And what you see that you would probably get in probably Trinidad or some other country, which would be comparative or even better in some cases, you can't get that in Jamaica. Why? What is so special about an apartment? Sometimes some of these are rundown apartments that they want all of these thousands of dollars for. What is inside? Nothing. The other day I saw this clip also on TikTok where this girl was saying, Jamaican, she's into real estate, and she's saying Jamaicans keep on talking about luxurious, how homes that they're building, and she's saying, what is luxurious about them? There's nothing luxurious about these homes. You can say that they are, top-end homes, but they're not luxurious. They don't have anything, special about them. But Jamaicans just believe it because they say luxurious. Now, when we say highways, the Chinese are building the highways also, Andrea, because they're making money, right? So we are paying tolls and tolls and tolls. Even for a short distance of road, we have to pay this humongous toll. In the DR, if you go to the DR, for example, when you're paying a toll, the toll is just made when you're entering the place, the location, not when you're returning from that location. In Jamaica, you have to pay for both entry and exit, right? Jamaica is expensive, and Jamaica is a country that is not much better than Haiti. The only way it's better than Haiti is because we have more structure there for now, and of course, the British left us something, a little order. Because remember that they left us in 1962. Haiti became independent in 1804. All right, so they would have. Haiti is absolutely beautiful, by the way. Yes, I follow a Haitian blogger who was educated in the US, but who went back home to work in the development sector. That's why I highlight the class divide. Correct. And Haiti also, I understand, is mountainous like Jamaica. Beautiful. That's the landscape, mountainous and green. It's the entire country is not green now because of the suffering of the people, the poverty, and they had to cut down a lot of trees in the city in Port-au-Prince. But in other places of Haiti and in other parts of Haiti, I understand that you see a lot of greenery and beauty, unsurpassed. Pedro DeMott is saying you need to get the SDGs and who trying to reach its pinnacle, right? I think that's what we're trying to do. Why do we think development is just some high-rise building? People coming to our country and some high-rise building. And Andrea, too, when you think about Andrea, I want you to look at Americans moving to Jamaica. Many of them who are moving to Jamaica, whether from the British or the Canadians or Americans, they have an economic foundation. Either they're retired, or they're working online and they're making American dollars or Canadian dollars or the British sterling, right? They're not there to make Jamaican dollars because they know that that's not getting them anywhere. Right, so and that is what when Andrew Holness said that he's going to deport skilled laborers to Jamaica to work, I'm like, which skilled laborers want to go to Jamaica to work? Unless they're going to be in some high tech job and they're earning something in American dollars. But no skilled laborer is going to Jamaica to work in Jamaican dollars or for Jamaican dollars. They're not going to do it unless they're coerced. They're forced. It's forced labor, slave labor, right? Because Jamaica has destroyed the country. We have destroyed the country, Well, not we, the people per se, but the oligarchs that are there. Trevor is saying, yes, the Irish prisoners who were put alongside the dark slaves were called the poor whites, right, in Barbados, and many ended up owning or marrying into the owner class based on color. Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. It's almost returning that they're going to criminalize us and send us over to any country they want to send us to. Just another Cold War, but we are being told to remember our place unless we're willing to sell out our own. Yes, that is what they're doing, what they're planning for, and we've just got to be on our P's and Q's. And it's a pity that we have not had more people in this chat to speak about what is happening in Haiti, because it is a serious crisis, right? I can't overemphasize. This is a serious crisis. Over 350,000 people will be deported and have no rights, right? They have no rights. They can't complain because that is what the law says should happen to them, and no other person can, stop what Trump is doing in that country. Yeah. All right. So, any other question? Any other comment? Very good conversation in terms of at least we got some of the history, and I think that let me see if I can, before we go, leave some thoughts in terms of. I think this guy here, what's his name? Rondell Robinson, for those of you who knew him, he's now deceased. So let me just give you some thoughts on Haiti as we try to end the live. Lastly, the evidence decisively showed that the United States, with the assistance of France, methodically undermined the political and economic stability of Haiti before abducting its democratically elected president and overthrowing its democratically elected government. Owing to an extreme imbalance of power and influence between the small middle-income democratic countries of the Caribbean region and the large industrialized nations of North America and Western Europe, calls from Caribbean leaders for an official investigation of the events of the early morning hours of February 29, 2004 were ignored. So even though we called for that to have been investigated, it was not, because guess what? The United States rules the world. The people of the Democratic Caribbean were forced, due to their ironic proximity to democratic America, to accept certain unpleasant realities. So we can't do anything. We just have to listen to what the United States tells us to do. As between the big and small, that is the rich and poor, nations of the world, there exist no checks and balances, no fair panel of last resort, no higher court before which no petition for recourse. I repeat that. No fair panel of last resort, no higher court before which to petition for recourse, no hierarchy of enforceable rights, no scheme of natural equity or fairness. As long as one member nation of the global family of nations is free to behave toward a fellow member nation with legal impunity, to bully, to menace, to invade, to destabilize politically or economically, to reduce to tumult, no country so threatened can hope to enjoy the social and political contentment that ought inherently to attend democratic practices. Since Haitian slaves won their independence from France in 1804, the United States has loomed over Haiti like the sword of Damocles. The record of this abuse of power is well known to the steadfastly democratic English-speaking Caribbean nations that have little choice but to heed the chilling implications of this for their own survival. Their leaders have learned the hard way that within their well-managed tropical island states, no election verdict, no constitutional custom or habit, no parliament's decision, no ordinary citizen's commonplace democratic prerogative is safe from any intrusive hegemonic America, whose caprices and policies are neither fairer nor more predictable nor more morally conscionable than the vagaries of hurricanes. So what we're seeing here is that we don't have any rights. We have to do what the United States hegemonic power tells us to do. Okay? And maybe Nigerians will go. Then we have here Wilfred Abraham, the politician in Barbados, told the people that if they got a problem finding work, they're welcome to leave and go to another island. The nerve while representing said people. That's what they're all doing right now. That's what they're all doing now. That, if you don't like it, then, you have the freedom of traveling, right? And, because I don't think they're doing that now. They're telling us that we literally don't have the skills. That's what they're now telling us, that you guys have not trained, and the skills that we need now are not the skills that you went to school for. So they're now gaslighting. No, they have the same curriculum there, but they're now gaslighting us when you go to school now. And even if you get the skill that they want to get, they're still telling you that you don't have the skills. We are living in the 21st century, and the 21st century requires new skills for which they have not trained us, and which they continue to blame us that we don't have the skills. So because we don't have the skills, there's no job. In fact, in Jamaica, they're telling Jamaicans that the unemployment rate is 3.5%. So they're saying that there are jobs in Jamaica, lots of jobs there, but the people don't have the skills. They don't have the laborers. And that is how they gaslight us, and people believe it, and they think that it is true, right? They think it is true. Trevor, you must listen to Frank Zanou. And we have here, Trevor said, they have stripped Haitians of the rights they gave them, reverting them further back to slavery, got to love democracy and diplomacy. Well, they never gave them any rights. That's the problem. They never gave them any rights. The Haitians actually fought for their rights as free people, and they took away those rights. And that is what they're trying to fight back for, the rights that they had, that they took away from them. And they were fighting because they understand the Haitians, like any other people in the Caribbean and the world at large, the Haitian people recognize that they are the only ones who can give appropriate rights to themselves, not the people, not the government, not these multinational organizations. Thanks for the tip, Trevor is saying. And temporary means at any given time, and a country decides who enters and stays, period. Absolutely. Or it can strip you at any time it wants to strip you. What they don't want us to have indefinite rights, permanent rights. We should not have permanent rights. We should have rights when they give it to us, and they can take up those rights away from us at their own convenience. That's what they're they're implying here with the Haitian situation, and something that we have to look at and register. All right, so any other questions, any other comments based on our discussion tonight about the Haitian crisis and the 350,000 Haitians at risk? Remember, on Sunday, we have another live 10 to 12 with Professor Robert Fatton, Send the thing to people, the promotion on YouTube, send it to your friends and your neighbors, because that is something that is going to affect the Caribbean. The entire region is going to be affected, including U.S. citizens. This is just the beginning of sorrows. It's not about Haitians per se. They're just using them as pretext to formulate other laws so that they can take away our civil liberties. And after that, it's end of the game. End of the, this theater that they're playing. Remember now that they're tired of playing the theater too. They're tired of playing this theater, and they want to end this theater. They want to be able to say, we are kings. We are dictators rather. And we say to you, and you've got to do what we tell you to do. Right? So they're just using this Haitian saga right now as the standard of where they're pushing the world to the direction that they're pushing us into. And if we're not vigilant, we're going to see all of our rights stripped away from us overnight, and many of us are going to be left in the dark wondering what really is happening. How did this happen to us? How? And that is what the people there in Nazi Germany, they were asking themselves the question, how did we allow Hitler? How did we allow him to just come and take over our country? Because they were not vigilant. They thought that, democratic Germany would have been forever. They never knew that democratic Germany could morph into a dictatorship, which it did. Trevor is saying, you don't have the skills, but somehow you built everything in the country upward to this point, and are educating you in the schools, which are making you unskilled. That explains leader incompetence. And I like that you say that, because you know what happened too? When you look at Jamaica, for example, it curses its teachers every day. And when its teachers tell them that they want a pay increase, oh, but you're not properly skilled, and your job, what you're doing does not reflect the quality students that would like to see you graduate from these schools. At the same time, the people from Canada, from the United States, are running for Caribbean teachers and nurses and doctors. So if they were not doing a good job in their countries, whether Barbados or wherever they are from, Trinidad, Jamaica, why would these recruiting companies go back every year and can't have enough of them? Right? Obviously, they're doing something well, and that they are well trained, because they would not be going back if they were not well trained. So they gaslight us, telling us that we don't have the skills or we don't have the competences, yet still when you go abroad, you find that you are shining in the career that you chose when you were in the Caribbean. Now, Chantal Grant is saying all of these governments are evil. It's about time the people unite, stand together, and shut all this shit down. Well, the thing about it is that they're not going to do it, because they love their government too, right? And that's the whole thing. There is a love for authority and for, the government is your daddy. And so he's Big Daddy, and you love to call him Big Daddy. He's going to provide for you. You're going to vote for him until you die, that sort of thing. So people have this relationship with government as if the government is their family, right? And the government, is responsible for their existence. That's what I can understand. And that's one of the reasons why we'll never be united, because people are always going to unite around their leader or a leader. Correct, Andrea, and it will never change for Haiti until others are in the position to sit alongside them when they are all being removed from their own country. Yes. What if all the Caribbean countries, islands, and those in the states would protest and say something, send a very strong message to Trump? Remember now that Trump wanted to, as we're saying, to have people who are applying for green cards to go back to their country of origin to apply there, and it's because of the public pressure on him, while he might go back, and I think he's going to go back, but at least they pressured him and he had to step back for a while. All right, so what if we were to unite and put public pressure on Trump and say, no way, because you are the one, U.S. is the one primarily responsible for the destabilization of Haiti? Then they might have to step back too. Pedro Jamont is saying your civil liberties were taken away during COVID and the players are still there. Correct. Yeah. But it was not completely taken away yet. It was far, but it's still the civil liberties have not completely been taken away. But it's the genesis was there, what was before, and it certainly laid a very important groundwork during COVID. Hitler was not even German, correct? Right. That's it. That's it. He was not even German. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. No, we're moving into a world now where people, the oligarchs, as we've said, are not concerned about nationality and race per se. They will use these as division mechanisms to divide us as a people, right? But they're not interested in who is white and who is black and whatever. They want their agenda. But if we unite across nationalities and races and ethnicities, then that will weaken their agenda. So they have to divide us and say that this is white and this is black and that is Aryan race and that is an inferior race and all of that stuff. And then we end up, fighting among ourselves, fighting until we lose hold, we are distracted, and they conquer us. And they do it. They've been doing this game for a long time, divide and conquer. That has been what the underlying theme of the Roman Empire: divide and conquer. And they have been dividing us for many, many years, and they are conquering us. Isn't it amazing that during black Americans, and they go to universities and they talk about black racism and white supremacy, and now when it comes down to the Haitians, you don't hear much about the white supremacy. Now you're hearing many of them saying go back and build, and it's okay if they were saying that, if Americans, the American foreign policy was not so much entrenched in the destabilization efforts in Haiti. That would have been okay. But they don't know it, or some of them who do know it, and they're telling them to go back. Go back to what? Go back to what? Correct. The government will seal the deal with universal basic income, welfare mentality has and will compete the global citizen, aka neo-slave. Absolutely. And that's why they love them. They're going to give us our basic income, and people actually will be satisfied. And then we have here, Pedro, press were forced to take a shot. What you call that? Yeah, well, it's authoritarianism. That's what it is. So I think that we have come to an end of this live. Remember to be here on Sunday at 10 a.m. Do we want to do another live tomorrow? What do you think? Would you want to do a live on tomorrow? Because I'm wondering if you're not consistent. That's why the YouTube is not growing, because we're not consistent in how we attend our lives, watch the videos. So the YouTube, it doesn't want to send the videos out. We have to be consistent. That's the branding slaves, right? That branding slaves. What should we talk about tomorrow? What do you think would be a good topic to talk about tomorrow? Any topic? All right. So I probably send out a video or something of the sort if you're not keen on any topic for tomorrow. Or maybe I just decide one based on what I see in the media. All right. So thank you so much for joining tonight's live, and we'll have another one hopefully on Sunday. What about Cubans? Yeah, we have Cuba and Haiti just don't attract a lot of people. I don't know why. You don't either watch their videos for the most part. When I do pre-recorded videos, they're very poorly watched. Not many people watch them, right? So it seems that the algorithm or people not seeing the videos. I did tell you that don't wait until the algorithm sends you a video or notification. Check the channel every day, because the algorithm is suffocating the videos they're killing them. They're actually killing the videos. That's what the algorithm is currently doing at the moment. All of a sudden deaths, right? All of a sudden deaths. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for joining. We will have another live at another appropriate time. Watch out for you can look every day for notifications if you don't get one, and you will see what we're doing. Okay. All the best. Have a great night. Bye.